Painting with light. By Mia Hacker, that's me. Art space, here we are. Let's go. Here we are at Art Space. In Art Space, which is where we are now, which is a great little room in Koran, we have been using this space to have creative conversations with friends, which for me has been a really important part of my growth as an artist and my diving deeper into the need to share what I'm doing with people. And by having those conversations with people about your process or about what you're thinking, it sort of justifies in your own mind that, yeah, this is actually something that I'm ready to share with people. Having a space where we've got lots of different art books. This is one of my favourite books here, The Dali Universe. Lots of books, surrealists, so really being inspired over the years by surrealists and Dali in particular. So having a space where we can just, sit back, relax and just, look at particular artworks, look at different sculptural pieces, look at the lighting, and then share that with people that are here. You have the conversation with friends and you say, what do you reckon about that? What do you think Dali was trying to communicate with this juxtaposition of contrast? And then you sort of get talking about your own work, and then, I really use that contrast in my latest painting with light work with blacks and whites a lot, and so it just gives you an avenue to feel comfortable about talking about yourself, which I've found really vital in my exploring my readiness to exhibit.
So Mia, how come you first started to get involved in art space here in Koran?
Art Space sort of evolved at our Tall Trees Art Exhibition this year. We extended the exhibition into this space. It was used for workshops and also a second exhibiting space for in the far corner of the building. But this space here we actually used for workshops across the weekend, which was really great. And it was a great introduction. And I guess for me, I just love the space, and it's really welcoming, and it's very unique and very inspiring to be here.
And what were some of the workshops over that weekend that were held here?
One in particular that we then took on further was looking at life drawing, but having models that are moving, which Malcolm, who owns this space, has started to just explore more with us as students learning from him about intuitive drawing and about letting go of the conformity to draw a perfect picture of a naked body into exploring line and shade and colour and mediums, and actually going with more of an explorative process, which I've really enjoyed, and it's really made me think about what I like doing. And in my photography, I really love looking at line, and I always have, whether it's wiggly lines or straight lines or where they meet or where there's shadows. I just have always enjoyed taking photographs and playing with that. And I guess part of painting with light has come from my enjoyment of seeing lines around to me thinking, okay, I can make my own lines and my own textures.
Okay, Mia, so that initial collaboration with Malcolm and Art Space back at Tall Trees in May, then you guys got together and continued on with your thought processes and created an artwork for Floating Lands, is that right?
Yeah, it's been a great process. We had this great space, so we gathered here, and it's just such a welcoming space, and it's so conducive to people having creative thoughts. And I guess that's what you need in a collaboration. You need a space where people feel comfortable to start sharing their thought process. So that initially started with Malcolm and Karen Finzel. So Karen and I met in Brisbane one night at Jandamara Cad's art opening for his kinship tour, which was quite amazing considering we live just one town apart. So that has sparked this new friendship and creative collaborative exploration that we've been doing, and especially for the project for Floating Land, which we called Bodyscape. So we actually thought about using a model, so we got Oliver involved, and he's a life drawing model that we've been drawing for here at Art Space for our intuitive drawing sessions after Tortry's art exhibition this year. The whole process has really allowed all of us to grow as artists and to, you know, consider how we feel and consider your thought process, consider how other people think and how other people interpret what you're saying or how you're saying what you're thinking. So it's been a really good learning process for me, just analysing how I communicate with other people, which is, I suppose, when you are doing art, you want to convey a meaning to people through what they're viewing. So through our Floating Land project, we gathered here. We then gathered on site at Boreen
Kind of
Point,
tell us about that
which was
height.
interesting, wading out into the waves and trying to test out all the variabilities that there are with putting an outdoor installation together. So there was a lot of trial and error and exploring going on, which was all fun.
Sorry, out on the waves. You actually put the artwork out on the waves?
Yeah, we put it out in the water. So the actual artwork sculpture, we were testing out to see whether or not we wanted it to be sort of floating on the water or floating above the water and in line with the horizon line.
Yep, that's good.
So these were all processes that we had as that thought of needing to have the water connect into our sculpture, because we knew the place where it was going had a strong connection to land connecting with water. So these were all, you know, just fun ways that we explored these concepts that we were having
How high will it need to be? Oh,
So I do believe, Mia, these conversations that you as artists were having then led to many conversations that the viewing public had and the interaction they had with your artwork at the time.
Yeah, conversations and also self-reflection. So another side to the actual piece, the artwork, was a take 5 notion. So people were invited to come and sit in specifically sort of picked places that were ample viewing of our artwork, to consider anything and everything, you know, to consider landscape, to consider themselves, to consider the body, to look at our artwork and just reflect for 5 minutes.
So Mia, I also noticed that not only did you collaborate in making an artwork for Floating Lands, you actually took on a greater, bigger picture for the whole festival exhibition.
Yeah, I was asked to come on board to support the community artists. So this year, Floating Land looked different to the way of delivery compared to other years. So there were some artists that were chosen by council to represent at Floating Land, and the community just came out in force. And with my support, we had many. We had over 30 artists, community artists, that came out and showed all the great things that they can do. Part of my role then also grew into event coordinating and liaising with a myriad of different tasks that needed to be done to bring the festival to fruition, including making the event booklet that we had on the day. I had to source a lot of the information for that booklet, so images. So it was a lot of consulting with different artists. There's a lot of actually going and taking photographs and gathering that data and the photos and the videos as well, which were used in promoting the event on Facebook, which was all part of what I was doing as well.
So Mia, this year's Festival of Floating Lands actually seemed like there was a lot more community involved in the whole event and leading up to it as well, and seemed like it was going a lot more back to the grassroots element of what it initially was meant to be.
Yeah, and you know, the fact that Boreen Point and the wider community that have connection to Boring Point as a place, it's those people that made that happen, and that's what made it special, was that connection that people have to place. So for myself, that was the main reason that I took on the job that I did, because I do have a strong connection to place at Boring Point. I've grown up going there my whole life. My grandparents still live there, and it's a place that's important in various elements of my life. And
I guess as well, after the craziness of managing an event such as Floating Lands, it must be quite something special for you now just to focus on yourself and exhibit your own artwork at Noosa Regional Gallery in this upcoming exhibition.
Yeah, it's been a great process, and it's really exciting now because we're sort of a couple of weeks out from the exhibition, and I've had to go through the different process of dealing with different galleries, which is always a learning curve. And I've really enjoyed, getting ready and examining my art and getting it all out and looking at what goes with what and what should go next to this and what should go next to that. And it's been really quite a nice social thing as well, because we've had Karen Finsel, my friend, helping, just bouncing the ideas off somebody else other than just yourself. It just makes the whole process give it another element of fun, really. And it's just a blank book, so I just thought it would suit the purpose of trying to put a collection of images together that work well. Another part of getting ready for an exhibition is getting business cards ready. So going through that process of images to choose. So that's been another process that I've had to go through. So even thinking about the layout and how simplistic I wanted it on the back, I didn't want it to be too busy. So this series of artworks I've titled, this one's Lunar Dance 1. You'll see this one in the exhibition, Painting with Light. So I just wanted to explain a little bit about this process, because it's actually a lot of exploration in terms of thinking about subject matter, thinking about the concept of painting with light. So it took me quite a lot of exploring the different phases of the moon to get certain levels of gradient within each movement. This particular one is thicker as well because of moving my lens in and out as well. So when I was doing my dance in front of the moon, I literally was moving a lot and moving around and moving really, really quickly and zooming in and out at the same time to capture this particular moon dance. And in this series there's other artworks that are completely different, but still using this similar thought process of using the moon as my paint, as my source of light. Some of them vary from being very simplistic to being more busy. Some of them are completely abstract. Some of them actually look like something flying through the air, like a moth or other objects that you capture as you're creating the movement. I like using this program because it's very easy and it's got a lot of different elements that allows you to change things within the image, but it still keeps the integrity of your original image. For example, this was an image that I started with, and then I made a virtual copy, and then from the virtual copy I then work on that. At its original state you could actually tell that it's sand, so I actually wanted to take out that knowledge so that they weren't aware that it was sand. So I started playing around with the black and then levels of white, and then you can play around with the clarity. I mean, part of my process is exploring, so I actually really like that, seeing things develop and change and think, oh yeah, maybe I would like a little bit of texture, maybe I want it smooth. Looking at taking all that texture out so it's more of a crisp black background. I really like that versatility with this program. I think for me that pleases my creative process, and it makes me think more about what images I take, and it also makes me think about what images I delete when I import my photographs from my camera to my computer, because I think twice now and I think, actually no, that could have a good potential for future abstract artwork and not just delete. I hope that watching this you've got a greater appreciation for the digital world and looking at my whole process and looking at where I start and where you actually end up with a final result. For example, what's here today, looking at this exhibition of painting with light at the gallery. You can check out more info about myself on my website. It's launched with this exhibition. It's a new website, www.miahacker.com. There's lots of info on there about past projects, and you can check out some photos as well, and there's a lot of my arty photos on there too. Don't forget you can pick up a business card at the front desk, and give us a call or an email if you want to find out more or make contact or have a creative conversation, or if you want to meet me at Art Space, just give me a call, get in touch. Thanks for watching.